sleepnumberpower.com/rewards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
It's Tio Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
They call him Mr. Ceasefire. They call him Mr. Ceasefire. Stopping shootings and killings almost every day. Trying to make a better way. They call him Mr. Ceasefire. Mr. Ceasefire. He's a man on a mission with a plan. Doing the best he can. A true champion for the people, saving one life at a time. Not worry about nothing, but saving.
All right. Good morning, Chicagoland. The one and only Tio Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman coming to you live here on WVON 1690 AM radio. It's an honor to be here once again. I want to thank God for allowing me to host of this particular show going on a little bit over 6 years now, about 6 years, a couple of months, so I'm grateful because it's been a blast, to be here every Sunday, sharing, different messages throughout the universe, talking about the different topics, what's hot, what's going on here within the nation and worldwide. So it's a lot of good things to be thankful for. Today happens to be Father's Day. I want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. All the good brothers is taking care of their business, trying to uplift the community at large. Also, I want to send a shout out on Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a special day, without a doubt. It's a very, very special day for all of us here, African-American people, when it comes down to our independence and fighting for our rights and everything, but mainly our independence. And I want to say that my organization, Violence Interrupters, not-for-profit organization, is one of the sponsors of this particular show. I want to thank all the good people that support my organization and everybody out there in the universe. I want to salute everybody out there because it's very important based on the fact of what's going on. So I have a guest coming on the show this morning, but if you need work done on your car, check out Bob's Midas on 74th and Stony Island. We have a couple of new restaurants also around 82nd and Stony Island. You have Jerk Yard, Jamaican restaurant right there on 82nd and Stony Island. You have Southern Comfort Food right there also on 82nd and Stony Island, right next to that place. And you have the Retro Grill. So these are Black-owned restaurants right there in the neighborhood, right off 82nd and Stony Island. Support those businesses over there. And Edwards Fashions is a real good fashion, a place where you can go buy yourself some real good clothes. African-American guys been in business over there on 114th in Michigan for a long, long time. So just remember all the good businesses out there. And I want to thank all the people out here working to stop the gun violence in Chicago, even though we had a rough weekend this weekend, but we're doing our best trying to save lives when we can, all right? You had a mass shooting on the south side. About 13 people got shot. Unfortunately, it happened. So today we're going to have a conversation since it's Juneteenth. And I'm not going to sing right now, maybe later on in the show as I begin to percolate, get my mind totally awake here this morning. So we're going to talk about, because, with everything going on in Chicago and cities like Baltimore, Memphis, St. Louis, even Jackson, Mississippi, you got issues. Our people appear to not to be as unified as they should be. But we have a town here in the United States, and hopefully I'm going to bring my guest on in a minute, and he'll talk about this particular town. I want everybody to understand what I'm talking about here. We have a Black-owned town that's been around for over a century now, where it's Black-controlled, Black-owned, Black everything, and they've been thriving for a long time. They've been thriving. taking care of the business, raising generation after generation without any issues, right? So let me bring Herman Johnson onto the platform this morning. Good morning, Herman Johnson.
Good morning. How are you doing?
It's an honor to have you on my show. I'm doing pretty good.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
This is amazing, actually. So you calling from Mississippi right now, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Right
sir.
on. So let me get the pronunciation right. It's Mount Bayou, right? Bayou?
Yeah, Mount Bayou.
Okay, I want to make sure I pronounce it properly, give all due respect, Mount Bayou. So if you don't mind, like I say, could you give my listeners, like we got quite a few people calling in already, can you give our listeners like a little lightweight history on Mount Bayou?
Yeah, just a little brief history.
Yeah.
It's probably the most remarkable city in the South, a remarkable city in the country, actually. And I think in the history of the city, I don't think there's any other place where the core of the people that started the city started the way this one has.
Okay.
The core of those people came from a plantation south of Vicksburg.
Got it.
And on that plantation, the plantation was called David's Bend. The Montgomerys, Ben Montgomery, was on that plantation, and he's the father of our founder, Isaiah T. Montgomery.
Okay.
But here's the thing. That's the plantation that was owned by Joe Davis, who's the elder brother of Jefferson Davis.
Got it.
Now, we know Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederacy. But Ben Montgomery ended up running that plantation. And not only that plantation, there was 5 plantations on Davis Bend. Ben Montgomery ends up running all of them. Okay. Now, in that story of Ben Montgomery and I.T. Montgomery on that plantation, Ben Montgomery at the end of first of all of these people down there were educated, which is something that you don't hear about on plantation life. Not only educated, but while they're on the plantation, they're governing themselves. When they have disputes and things like that, they had a council that they brought themselves to it.
For sure.
And they worked out everything on their own, in a system.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, Herman. When you say the name Ben Montgomery, now I know pretty much the answer. Now, Ben was a Caucasian guy, correct?
No.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Right.
Ben Montgomery is the father of our founder.
Okay.
And our city is all black.
No, I know that, but you were saying that the Montgomerys, correct me if I'm wrong, had owned a slave plantation or they ran a slave plantation?
He ran it.
That's what I'm talking about. But this is a black man that ran the slave plantation. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Right.
Yeah, these are the remarkable points that you don't hear about, you know. And so Joe Davis owned the plantation. He was a self-taught lawyer.
Okay.
And his law library was there on that plantation. Ben Montgomery, the black man,
all right,
ends up having access to all of this whole law library. He read everything there. So he was actually just as qualified to be a lawyer as an enslaved man as Joe Davis was.
Got it.
But here's the thing. At the end of the Civil War, Ben Montgomery ends up buying the plantation he used to be enslaved on.
Now, okay, good. Got you there.
Okay. So the terms were the plantation cost him $300,000. Now the terms were to pay $30,000 per year for the next 10 years, principal and interest.
About $300,000, right?
$300,000.
Okay.
Now, the people who are occupying the plantation, now the black people there who used to be slaves, are now Montgomery's business partners.
Okay. All right.
All right. So they outproduce everybody else down there in Warren County.
Much respect.
They have more bales of this, more bushels of that. When he owns it, when Montgomery owns it, and Montgomery develops the highest grade of cotton in the world on that plantation.
Okay.
And the reason that we know that he had the highest grade is that he was taking there were expositions going on in those years up in Cincinnati and St. Louis. And he was going up to these expositions, and people from around the world, Egypt, Brazil, and these other countries were bringing their cotton to these expositions, and they were judging cotton. And so Ben Montgomery's cotton was judged to be the highest grade of any cotton in the world.
Okay.
Now, he does that after he owns the plantation. Now, at some point, the Davises, we know the system in the United States, the Davises, even though, the older Davis dies, Joe Davis, who actually owned, had deeded the property to Montgomery.
To Montgomery,
but
right.
But Jefferson Davis, his younger brother, who was not incarcerated long enough for being a traitor, comes back and he files a lawsuit against the property, and it takes him some time, but he ends up the system in this government and in the United States system ends up giving Davis the plantation, and so they take it back from Montgomery. Okay, so the older Montgomery dies. This whole story takes some years, but the older Montgomery dies, Ben Montgomery dies, and Isaiah T. Montgomery takes off and goes to Kansas. But at some point, he comes back to Mississippi, and they tell him that somebody tells him that they're building a railroad through Mississippi from Chicago to New Orleans.
All right.
And they have a lot of land up there in the Mississippi Delta. And the dream that I.T. Montgomery got from his father was actually to start a country.
Okay.
What I want to go back to is that when I was telling you the story about Jefferson Davis being on the plantation.
For sure.
Jefferson Davis was down there planning the Confederacy. Okay, he ultimately became the president of the Confederacy.
Right.
While he
called it name, right.
So while he's there, I'm going back in the story now. So while he's there, Ben Montgomery is seeing this. And Ben Montgomery, I think, from my perspective, is judging Jefferson Davis as not being such a bright person. And I think, in my estimation, I think that Ben Montgomery looked at Jefferson Davis as like, if this guy can start a country, so can I. And so going back into the story after he dies, now I'm going back to when his son is in Kansas and his son comes back to Mississippi. His son has his father's dream, and he comes up to this area in Mississippi and makes a deal with the railroad, and the railroad sells him 840 acres.
All right.
And he starts Mount Bayou.
Okay,
and they also buy, excuse me?
No, so he started Mount Bayou.
He started Mount Bayou. Him and his cousin, Ben Green.
Okay.
And
good stuff.
The railroad authorizes him to sell 37,000 acres surrounding the city surrounding the city, 840 acres that he had bought, because they know he's bringing up people that he knows, that Montgomery knows from the South, from the Vicksburg area and other places, to occupy Mount Bayou as a city. And so they sell him he sells 37,000 acres surrounding Mount Bayou. Mount Bayou starts.
Okay.
And once Mount Bayou gets started, they develop this place out of this wilderness. These are trees and wilderness. Okay. And so as they're cutting down trees, they're draining this swamp. This is the real swamp draining. They're draining this swamp. They are sleeping. They're working during the day and they're sleeping on this train. The train is taking them to Memphis. They get off. At night, they get off in Memphis, and they catch that southbound train, and they sleep on the way back.
Wow.
And when the engineer gets to this area, the engineer is asking them, where do I let you guys off? And they told the engineer, let us off where the two bayous converge with the Indian Mound.
Got it.
And do that 3 or 4 times, and it becomes Mound Bayou.
Oh, that's strong. That's really strong there, bro. So the people work day and night to actually set that whole town up, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And they cut everything. They cut the trees down, and then they start developing crops, and they start developing cotton. And again, they get the highest grade of cotton in the world. Mm. And so now, as this town develops and grows, other people outside of the area are bringing their cotton to Mound Bayou, because now Mound Bayou has the highest grade of cotton. And if you get the Mound Bayou label, you got the highest price in the world. Every morning, there were people in Memphis that were calling Mound Bayou every morning to find out what is that price in cotton, so they can set the price for cotton for the rest of the world.
So it's safe to say that the cotton business is what put Mound Bayou on the map. Is it safe to say that?
It's safe to say that was the economy at the time.
At that time,
actually,
right.
It's safe to say that the cotton business put America on the map.
It really did. You're right. You're right.
And so this is that business, and cotton actually, cotton brought a lot of countries, put them on the map, because that was the biggest economy, biggest commodity.
Like the sugar put Haiti on the map, the sugar industry, right?
Yeah.
Right. I got you. I'm listening to you without a doubt.
Yeah. And so, so now you got this highest grade of cotton, and you got other people sneaking their cotton into Mound Bayou. So Mound Bayou ends up with 6 cotton gins instead of just 1. That's all they really needed. But because of all this inflow of cotton. Now think of this also. You got Black people here in town, and now you got this unique oasis in the middle of the Mississippi desert, quote unquote. And now Black people have a place in this state. Well, if you live far out, if you live 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles away, you would not ordinarily shop in a place that's 30 or 40 miles from you. You shop locally.
Yeah, right,
but
locally.
Because
yes.
Mound Bayou is Black, the Black people were taking extra measures to come to Mound Bayou to shop. Okay. So the store owners in Mound Bayou are now servicing not just the 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7,000 people in the city. They're servicing all of North Mississippi. And now these store owners become some of the wealthiest people in the state of Mississippi.
All right.
And you got that, plus you got the cotton industry there in Mound Bayou.
The cotton industry, the stores, the businesses, everything Black owned at this time, correct?
Exactly.
That's what I needed to hear. Because, when we bring up slavery, I got a few callers want to definitely talk to you. When we bring up slavery, I become really, really upset when I think about the slave era in the United States. It makes me so mad. But I mean, see, what's good about this discussion today is that we talking about Black folks, people that had their own town, take care of their own business. It happens to be Juneteenth today. We talking about Black people. So let me ask you this, because, like I said, we only have an hour, and I want to really get to the meat of this discussion. Okay, let's look at the year 2026 right now. How did the town, how long has Mound Bayou been around, number one, when they established themselves? How long?
They established Mound Bayou in 1887.
Okay, 1887.
Mm-hmm.
And how did we all avoid the division in the Black community? How did you guys in Mound Bayou avoid all the different things that have happened in Black society? You had the failed war on drugs, you had the drug epidemic, mass incarceration. I've traveled to Jackson, Mississippi, Meridian, Tupelo, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
In my life, I've had family members and friends that live in the state of Mississippi, right? But how did the people in Mound Bayou stay unified? I think that's a real good place to start also. How did you guys stay unified generation after generation? Then I'll take some callers. How did that happen, Herman?
Well, I can't say that Mound Bayou stayed unified. I would not say that. There was a lot of things going on in Mound Bayou through the life of Mound Bayou. I wouldn't point to unification. I would point to is just a place that for a while and for a good period, white folks, there was a measure of them leaving us alone. I'm accentuating a measure because they never really stopped. They always came after Mound Bayou in unique ways. But, just think of this. If you got 8,000 people in the city, it was difficult for white police just to barge into that city unless you had an occupying force. You needed an army to come up to Mound Bayou to start anything. And there was a time where the early on still during the time that they had horses. There was a time where the quote unquote Ku Klux Klan, we don't know who exactly they were, but they came in to burn Mount Bayou down. They really attempted to do it.
Yeah, I studied that history, right? I studied. Now, you had some brothers, I want to give them credit where it's due on Juneteenth. The brothers were called the Miller brothers out of Charleston, South Carolina, and they took on the Ku Klux Klan. It was about 10 brothers, man. They got down in Charleston. They let them know, man, nobody going to come over here and do nothing to anybody over here. You understand? So you had some brothers, some stand-up brothers and sisters, but Mount Bayou's history. So let me take a quick call, so get some of these calls to talk to you. Okay, Brother Herman?
Sure.
Yes, sir. Okay, Mark Armstrong, known as Cat Daddy. What you got for us this morning, bro?
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Wait, hold on, Herman. Make sure you call back. You should stay on the line, Herman. I don't know what happened. Make sure you call back. Okay, go ahead, Brother Cat Daddy.
Okay. I was going to say happy Juneteenth weekend and happy Father's Day.
Okay, come on with it, Cat Daddy. I don't know what happened to that, brother. You still there?
I got disconnected. I'm back.
Okay, all right. So, Cat Daddy, you call back in. Okay, I'm going to get to K real quick. 1 minute. Good morning, Kay. You're on the line with Tio Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman and Brother Herman Johnson out of Mount Bayou, Mississippi. Go ahead, Kay.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Father's Day and happy Juneteenth. I'm originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I know that David Banner, he's a rapper. He's originally from Mississippi. What cities is Mount Bayou around? And I also we have a gentleman, Cyron Smith, where he has named several cities in Mississippi to be like the hub for Black America, because Mississippi is the blackest state in the country. So what cities are around? Because my son graduated from Hattiesburg, southern Illinois, southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg. So what major cities are around Mount Bayou? That's my question.
We're 100 miles south of Memphis. We're in the Mississippi Delta.
Okay.
We're 126 miles north of Jackson.
Oh, okay. So you're near Jackson. And I also graduated from Southern University, which is a HBCU. So when I go, and I was just in Louisiana in May. So when I go back, I will definitely come by and visit Mount Bayou, because y'all have a very wonderful history. So I would love to come and visit y'all. So thank you for being on the show. It's very exciting at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Cat Daddy, I want you to call back. Go ahead, Brother Herman. I just want Cat Daddy to call back. We accidentally hung up on us. So call us back, brother, when you get a chance. You want to respond to Herman?
Yeah, I was just going to say we're closer to Memphis. We're 100 miles south of Memphis. So we really mostly fly in and out of Memphis.
Okay, you close like 100 miles outside of Memphis. But let me say this before I take the next caller. So Mount Bayou, did you all get hit with the drug problem, the street organization problems down there, or either the people didn't tolerate that kind of mess? How would you respond to that, Brother Herman?
Well, we get hit with everything, that everybody else experiences now. Okay. There's a drug problem. Actually, there was drug problems when I came up through high school. But there are same systematic issues that everybody else experiences in the Mississippi Delta, anywhere else. We have those problems here in Mount Bayou. So we haven't escaped it. And as a matter of fact, we have this huge connection with Chicago. So actually, seems like whatever Chicago gets, we get.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Because, there used to be a time when parents in Chicago would send their kids, because a lot of us migrated from the South to the North, our forefathers and foremothers. So we would send the kids to the South if they were having problems in the North. But now you have problems in the South and the North, right? So it becomes a little more problematic, but it's just good to know. But would you say that Mount Bayou is, let's give it about 80% unified? Is that a good number to put out there? I'm talking about as far as the Black community being a solid institution that's raising generations of African-American young men and women to lead them to a positive pathway. Would you say that's happening on a high level?
I think it could happen. I think Mount Bayou is poised as a place if anybody, if us as a people around this country wanted to unify and bring up and have a place where we could grow our own, be our own, police our own, govern our own, Mount Bayou is that place.
That's what I'm talking about.
We have an amazing history that rooted us, and that history is not going anywhere.
All right, good. So for people that are listening, you can call in at 773-472-5787. 773-591-1690. That's 773-591-1690. So let me take another call, Brother Herman. Andre,
Okay.
good morning to you, Andre.
Hey, good morning to your brother Tio, and good morning to the guest. First thing, happy Father's Day to you, gentlemen, and all of the fathers that are listening.
Appreciate it.
First thing I wanted to ask you is down there in Mount Bayou, what is the dominant political figure down there? Is that a Republican state or a Democratic state?
Well, Mount Bayou has the highest African American population ratio of any place in the country, but it is highly gerrymandered. So you have a lot of in the Mississippi Delta where we are. There's 18 counties, and for the most part, those counties are, for the most part, 60 to 70% Black. So politically, the counties are run by Black people. The sheriff departments are run by Black people. Of course, our city is run Black. It's all Black. But for the most part, it's heavily Black in the Mississippi Delta. But the state, of course, there's other parts of the state that are not so friendly toward Black people, in other parts of the state. But the Mississippi Delta is mostly Black.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, well, and that's a good thing. But usually when we have situations that where you got like the majority of the population is African American, but then they got to answer to these white folk. But how do y'all organize and mobilize to get things done down there?
Well, there's still the same issues that you have in a lot of different places. The thing about Mount Bayou, I don't think we out organize anybody else. We just have more population and significant. And I think all of us in this country suffer from this this mentality that we've been ingrained with here in this country. And I think in order to work a lot of those things out, Mount Bayou becomes a symbol for us to change a lot of the trajectory of who we are in this country. So I put as much emphasis on the future as for Mount Bayou as I do for the past. The past is remarkable, but the future is promising if we choose to do something about it.
Okay. All right, Brother Andre.
Yeah. Hey, T, I got this last thing I want to ask. Down in Mount Bayou, how is Father's Day observed, Family Day and Children's Day? How are those holidays observed down there? And that'll do it for me.
Well, I think it's just deserved, just like everywhere else, I believe. I don't think there's anything different. We do choose to observe Juneteenth. There's an organization in town that did Juneteenth last weekend, and then there was another organization that did Juneteenth this weekend. Father's Day is just a normal holiday like anywhere else. But we're starting in Mount Bayou, as far as the summer goes, we're starting to emphasize our Founders Day. So Founders Day for Mount Bayou is July 12th.
Okay.
This year, there is a huge push to do a lot more for Founders Day on the 10th and 11th of this July. So we have a lot of people coming this year for Founders Day. And then also every year in Mount Bayou for Labor Day weekend, we have September Fest. September Fest is the homecoming to Mount Bayou. And we usually have about 4,000 to 5,000 people from out of town come into town who have
that's good
in Mount Bayou. So we're expecting about 3,000 around Founders Day and about 5,000 around September Fest.
All right, Brother Andre, thank you.
Tio, we need to work on that here up here where we at and trying to get us observe. See, it is an American Family Day here, and we just don't observe it, but we should observe American Family Day and bring these families together in Chicago to stop some of this teen takeover stuff there. Thank you all. You all have a good rest of the day. I'll talk to you, Tio.
Yes, indeed. Always, Brother Andre. Then also, I want you to call back in, Mark Armstrong. We accidentally cut you off, my brother. I want to say this too, Herman, because what I'm looking at, we're looking for a model, right? A model of Black excellence. So let me ask you these questions. You may know a lot of this information as well before I take the next caller. Now, what's the ratio of fathers in the households with their families in Mount Bayou? That's a fair question, I believe it, because the reason I'm going there, because do we have like a thriving, real strong foundation in Mount Bayou with the family setting? What's your thoughts there, Herman?
Well, I think I grew up like that. I grew up like that with a huge family structure. My grandfather had a bunch of kids. I think he had like 10, 11, 12 children. And then all of my cousins, a lot of my cousins were here. A lot of them went to Chicago. But we had a huge family structure coming up here in Mount Bayou. And so I do see that in other families. There are a lot of big families in Mount Bayou, strong, patriarchal there. And then there's some with matriarchal dominance. But
without a doubt, you know it.
Yeah, this is Mississippi. And the things that you hear about how Mississippi families are run, you see it there in Mount Bayou. But there's a more of a sense of pride for the people in Mount Bayou. We were different, but didn't know we were different as we were coming up in Mount Bayou.
That's right.
Right. We would act different in other places, and people would have to point that out to us because we were free. We grew up with seeing that the police chief and the mayor and all the
the Black-owned businesses. Now, what about the businesses at Mount Bayou? All the businesses owned by African-American business owners?
Well, yes, Mount Bayou is still all Black, except we do have one business. There's I guess these guys are from India somewhere. They own one of the businesses in Mount Bayou. But other than that, everything else is Black-owned. But there's not many businesses there in Mount Bayou right now.
Well, I know when I traveled south, it kind of surprised me. I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana before as well, down in New Orleans and through Mississippi. I noticed that, like in Chicago, a lot of the liquor stores and gas stations, the liquor stores are owned by the Arabs and the gas stations are owned by Indians in a lot of cases, and some Arabs as well. So do Black people own the gas stations and liquor stores in Mount Bayou?
Well, there is only 2 gas stations in Mount Bayou. Mount Bayou is very, very small right now.
Yeah.
There's about 1,200, 1,300 people in Mount Bayou.
Oh, yeah, it's a small town. Yeah.
It's a very small town, so we don't have a lot to choose from. But I think it presents itself as an opportunity because there's a lot of tourism reviving itself in Mount Bayou.
Okay.
People are finding out about Mount Bayou. They're coming. They want to come. We're working on doing development there. My brother and I are getting ready to build a whole shopping center with a hotel and that type of thing. And then we have a lot of lodging concerns. When I say this, we're having a lot of people come visit Mount Bayou.
All right.
Because of the history.
Right.
Now they are staying in Cleveland. Cleveland is 10 miles away. They're lodging in Cleveland. So we need to build lodging in Mount Bayou. We need to build restaurants in Mount Bayou because people are coming for not only the history in Mount Bayou, but there are other places around Mount Bayou that are historical and that we need to capture the economy of them.
That's what I'm talking about.
Part of that,
Yeah, I'm going to take another caller here because I got the phone lines are lighting up all over the place. And I'm going to get Cat Daddy back on in a minute. Okay. Mama D, good morning to you.
Oh, y'all guys rising and happy grandfather and Father's Day.
Good morning.
The best cotton and the best cotton pickers, the formerly enslaved, was a winning combination. So Mount Bayou was a town like Tulsa. And so I guess it was just fortunate and very blessed that it didn't get destroyed. So, but anyway, my concern about Juneteenth is that it promotes disinformation, that it ended slavery in America, and it did not. It takes a And I think it takes accountability away from the 13th Amendment. Also, the Emancipation Proclamation did not include all slaves in all the states. It was only the states that had seceded out of the Union and became the Confederate States of America. Plus, the Dred Scott decision of 1857 was in full effect, and it said blacks had no rights whether they were emancipated or not, and no president could vacate a Supreme Court decision. It took a constitutional amendment to do that. Now, my question is, when it comes to reparations, should we stick with the 13th Amendment or get sidetracked with Juneteenth and end up like in the voting rights bill? We're the only group that has to ask for our right to vote to be renewed every 20 years. If you come over here and get your naturalized citizenship, you don't have to have your rights renewed.
So, Mama D, you saying, what are you saying that?
So why don't they do
wait, slow down,
that?
Mama D. You saying here that African American people have to request, and correct me if I'm wrong, to get their voting rights every 20 years? That's what I heard you say.
That's exactly
what is
what
that?
I'm
That
saying.
doesn't take place in the United States, Mama D. Come on, correct
No,
me if I'm
that's
wrong. What are you talking
saying. That's what I'm saying. The voting rights bill specifies black people.
Got it.
And every 20 plus years, they have to ask for their rights to be for that to be renewed. That's what I'm saying.
Ask for their right to be renewed on what, Mama D?
On voting.
Okay, well that's
On
news
voting.
to me. Somebody gonna have
It's the Voting Rights Bill of 1965.
No, I'm familiar with the Voting Rights Bill. I got that.
And it has us as a group, the only group. And I'm saying, if you come over here, was not born here, and you become a naturalized citizen, you don't have to ask for your voting rights to be renewed. It only impacts NAAs, Indigenous Negro American Africans.
Okay, then.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Not hear you then. Okay,
and
Mama
suppose
D.
they tell us we don't want to renew it. Then what?
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Appreciate you, Mama D. Good stuff. So let me get this brother Cat Daddy back on, Herman, so we keep everything rolling. And I know how we feel about reparations, but let me make this clear to everybody in the universe that's listening. When it comes to reparations, it should be a no-brainer. A lot of politicians play with the word reparations, but nobody, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, nobody's putting forth a solid effort to help us secure reparations on a higher level. You got the people in California, the General Assembly did the best they can do, but the Black Caucus in California voted it down. You got the good sister Simmons out of Everson. There was a lawsuit filed because there was a form of reparations that was put in place in the city of Everson here, Herman, here in Chicago, a suburb close to Chicago. But now they're trying to vote that down. I don't know. I'll update everybody soon about it. So let me get the next call in here. Cat Daddy, we'll keep this going about my bayou, okay? Cat Daddy, good morning to you. And then I want I want Melissa, Chris, Leslie, Randy, and Brother Hall and David to stay on there in Darby. I'll get you on in a minute. Cat Daddy, what's happening?
Okay. Well, in light of what Mama D came up with, I think it's also important to note that Mount Bio has a footprint in the civil rights movement. I do believe, Mr. Johnson, that you told me that after Medgar Evers was assassinated, that your father took over his work. Is that correct?
My father took over Medgar's position. Medgar was mentored. His first job out of college was in Mount Bayou. He was hired by T.R.M. Howard, who ultimately went to Chicago and helped Jesse Jackson start Operation Push. But before that, he was in T.R.M. Howard was in Mount Bayou. And there's a longer story about how once Medgar was leaving to be the field secretary of the NAACP, my father, who's from Louisiana and had married my mother in Mount Bayou, was coming through. Actually, he was headed to Chicago, and he was told to go see T.R.M. Howard, and he did, and Howard gave him Medgar's job.
Okay. So my point being that that while Mama D talked about Juneteenth, we're also forgetting that it's Father's Day. And the thing that ties Robbins, Illinois, I don't know if you all heard me going.
Right, Robbins, Illinois, here close to Chicago.
Robbins, Illinois, where a lot of the inhabitants can trace their ancestry back to Mount Bio, is that these two historically Black communities seem to be appear to be thriving against insurmountable odds because they were, you had Black males being fathers of their community. Mount Bio is more autonomous than predominantly Black Jackson, Mississippi, which is being heavily oppressed with state intervention.
That's correct.
I'd like to close on your thoughts, Mr. Johnson, about maybe some kind of sister city or sister town relationship between Robbins and between Mount Bio, because there are certain stories of profiles of courage between the two towns, including in Robbins' case. I don't know if you heard me when I talked about Michelle Nichols' father, who was a village president of and police magistrate, which equates to and Robbins, and how he stood up to Al Capone when Al Capone sent his people out there to make him an offer he couldn't refuse after he busted his liquor steal out there.
All right, brother Cat Daddy, I appreciate your call this morning. Okay, bro.
Uh-huh.
All right, good stuff. So let me go. We got a lot of callers here, Brother Herman. So I want to get these callers in to talk to you. And let me get Leslie on the line now. And then we got Brother Hall coming up next, Melissa, Chris, and everybody else is holding. Okay, you're on the air, Leslie.
Yes, Herman. I am very familiar with your community. I own the chain of stores, one at Clarksdale, one at Cleveland. It's right up the road from you there. Now, first of all, let me also appreciate your presence in this moment, because Mount Bio can be very much identified with Tulsa, Greenwood, Greenwood District, which I'm also very familiar with.
So where you calling from, Leslie? You calling from Mississippi or you calling from Chicago?
I'm calling from St. Louis this moment.
Oh, that's good. I just want to know. Okay, good information.
Yes. Now, also, Herman, right? I think it would be absolutely on target if you acknowledge that since cotton was like in Mississippi, what oil was in Oklahoma, which had a lot to do with the Blacks' productivity, in Tulsa, that was absolutely attacked and destroyed. It wasn't a race riot, and we all know that. But at any rate, you are in a very rich territory. And also that plant there in Cleveland, what is the name of that plant where all those Black people have been working over the past 40, 50 years that created that great middle class in Cleveland?
I believe you mean Baxter.
Yeah, I'm talking about in Cleveland, the plant. Our name is right on the tip of my tongue, but I can't name it.
What kind of plant was it, Leslie?
It deals with chemical, medical, in Cleveland. Right there on Highway 61. You go right down the road. You want to pass Rosedale, right down from Cleveland. Then you're going to come into Mount Bayou.
Was it Black owned? Was it a Black owned plant?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
That's what I want to know. I'm pushing Black excellence today. I'm pushing Black owned businesses, Black towns, everything. So, Leslie, I hear what you're saying, but I know it's probably a plant that a lot of our people work. Like in Detroit, they had the car industry. A lot of Blacks work for the Ford Motor Company and all that kind of stuff.
Right. But keep in mind, there's a huge history, as I've said earlier, with Mount Bayou, and at the same time, all that cotton that Herman is talking about.
Well, look at Herman and Leslie. Who was the guy that invented? It was Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin, right? Is that correct?
Not according to my father. Eli Whitney did.
That's what I want to know. Who, according to your father, who invented that cotton gin, brother Herman?
He doesn't. I haven't heard that story very much, but doesn't give a name. But he definitely said that Eli Whitney got credit and didn't, and he didn't invent it. But the plant that he keeps this young man is talking about is named Baxter's in Cleveland.
Baxter, that makes sense.
Baxter, right?
Yes.
Right.
what I'm getting at, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that all that economic income, all that economic
cotton, man, shit. It's like,
yes, cotton, and then also, the wages down there is great. And another thing I think Herman would also agree with me on, that a lot of your income to Black people, they travel from Mount Bayou, Cleveland, Shelby, even as far south as Greenville and Leland, Mississippi, to work in the casinos there, all the way up to Tunica, northern Mississippi, which is 75 or 80 miles.
Was it a Black-owned? Hey, Leslie, was it a Black? Is it a Black-owned casino?
It used to be one that was called.
That's what I need to know.
But that's not any Black-owned casinos in Tunica as we speak.
Right. All right.
And so I get 100% the Black-owned. I'm the president and founder of the AmericanBlackDirectory.com.
Do me a favor, Leslie, leave your number at the studio for me because I got a lot of callers I got to get in too before we.
Okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate your program today, my brother.
Yes, indeed,
great
brother.
program.
Appreciate you.
I'm gonna leave my number at the studio.
Okay.
Y'all have a great day and happy Father's Day to everybody.
Yes, indeed. Hey, brother
Thank
Herman,
you.
before I take the next caller, see, like I say, you got a town of 1,300 people with a lot of, with a laser beam focus on Mount Bayou, which is good. But every now and then, the OJs had that song, Ship Ahoy, right? You familiar with that song, Herman?
Yeah, yes, sir.
That song talks about that slave passage. It goes a little something like this. Then I'm going to get right to these cars. I have to do this out of respect for our forefathers, right? And it's crazy when you think about the slave passage. Go like, I'm your master, you're my slave. Can't you feel the motion in the ocean? That Ship Ahoy record. I'm just putting that mindset out there because people don't understand. When you got people been over in these cotton fields, been over 18 hours a day in the sun picking cotton and being raped on the slave plantation, being messed over in every conceivable way, it's really atrocities that were committed against our people. I just want people to understand this. And then you got a town like Mount Bayou that came through this, like a lot of our towns did as far as Black America. So I just want people, I don't want us to get lost in the sauce. In other words, I want to make sure we stay strong like a mofo. I can't say the word I want to say. You know what I'm talking about. You hear me? So hang there with me, brother. Let me get another caller on here. And we got Melissa coming on now. Good morning, Melissa. How you doing?
I'm blessing you all. Happy Juneteenth and happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
I am so delighted to hear about this, Mr. Johnson. I did a little research while you were talking, and I will plan to do the reserve. But one thing that I related to when I thought Tio was going to give it away, about a month ago, they were talking about how can we be Black empowered and self-reliant, like Mount Bayou. And one of the things I like, because I do deal with youth-rich people, the education was the central pillar of the community. And then y'all provided education and vocational for the young people to empower them to continue to build the city, to keep the legacy going with the generational wealth. The reason why I'm saying that is because he already said, they were talking, he asked us about a month ago, how can we do gas stations and everything to empower our Black community and our Black and build generational wealth? And I did read something on the website. I did plan to visit the museum, and I said that this would be good for those people that we deal with, the youth rich, because they don't know about stuff like this, like how y'all hear Mammy Till and all of that.
Yeah, because see what I'm trying to do, Melissa, I'm trying to identify a model for Black folks to look at. I believe that Mount Bayou is a good place to start. It's a town of 1,300 people, but we need a Black model, which there are Black models out here, Black Wall Street. You got a lot of, so let me just ask this question, Herman and Melissa, then I'll definitely get to the next callers. Do you think it was better for Black folks before we desegregated, and was segregation probably a little bit better for Black folks in America, Herman? And when I say that, I'm saying because our community seemed to be thriving a lot more when we were more unified. Because, I love all people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against any race, creed, or color. But do you think Black folks are better off when we were segregated? What are your thoughts there? I'm talking about especially in the South and the North.
Well, my brother says this all the time. He said Mount Bayou gave his life for integration. When there was segregation, Mount Bayou was thriving because people had nowhere else to go.
That's what I was thinking, right?
I am for freedom, but I mean, we have to also go back to our economic base, which is and actually trade with our people. And so Mount Bayou was that example. Back in the day, we thrived. The wealthiest people in the state of Mississippi at one time were in Mount Bayou because of segregation. So there you go.
That's
what
I'm
I'm
talking
saying?
about. You answered that. I appreciate it. All right, Melissa, I got to take these other callers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you for calling. Thank you so much. Get Brother Chris on. Randy and David Dauber hanging out. I'll get you too. Chris, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Brother Hardiman and your guests. Shout out to the WVON family. Happy Father's Day. Mississippi, my family, grew up. My mother was born and fed Mississippi. We briefly stayed in Natchez, where they got the Devil's Punch Bowl, where they buried the black free
Yeah, I heard
soldiers.
about that. Yes, indeed.
Okay. And I just wanted to say, love, respect to our brother Medgar Evers, shot down at tender age of 37 for trying to get voting rights for the people.
Shot down in his parking lot right in front of his house.
Yep.
In the driveway. Driveway.
Family heard his shots, while he passed. Thank you for taking my call. Much love to the WVON family. Happy Father's Day, gentlemen.
Thank you. All right. Hang in there, Brother Herman, to get another call here. Randy, good morning to you. How you doing?
Yes, good morning. How are you? And good morning to your guests. Just want to get his full name, Herman's full name. I felt that the information that you're sharing is extremely important and historical relevance. I just want to say that I agree with Chris as well as previous callers and include Andre and others who raised some very important points as well as the sisters and stuff. So I just want to say this real quick. One, I know that this much ties into the book by called The Betrayal of the Negro by Dr. Rayford Logan, as well as Charlie McIntyre's book, Criminalize the Race. I just want to ask you, are we in a moment or are we in a movement? In terms of and there are towns, I've been to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they're rebuilding the Black Wall Street there, what they call Little Africa. And I think it's important that people need to know in less than 4 or 5 years ago, there was these two sisters still working in the South, they're building a black town in the South and stuff. So I think it's important that people kind of look at that. I think it's somewhere near Georgia, et cetera. But I just want to kind of share that. So are we in a moment or are we in a movement? And happy Father's Day to both of y'all, and also happy Juneteenth to both of y'all. I'll hang up and listen to your response.
Appreciate you, Randy. You can respond to that, brother Herman, if you don't mind. Are we in a moment or are we in a movement? That's what the question was.
Well, I don't know how to answer, are we in a moment or movement? I will say this. Let me just say this about Mount Bayou, the differentiation between Mount Bayou and Tulsa. A lot of people always bring that up to me. Tulsa is a city that was not created by us. We were there. And I think what Black Wall Street was, the place, the Black Wall Street was in other cities around the country, a lot of cities. The difference between Mount Bayou and Black Wall Street is that Mount Bayou was created by us.
That's what I'm talking about.
With the whole idea, it was the actuality. What you have to really understand about the history of Mount Bayou, and when I was talking about Ben Montgomery had a seed in his heart for a country, and he really wanted to start a country. Ben Montgomery did not want to end up being second-class citizens in this country, knowing that Reconstruction, actually, his son, I.T. Montgomery, was really against that. And so there's a whole story about it. I know we don't have a lot of time to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I want to make that differentiation between Mount Bayou and Black Wall Street, because we always get that comparison.
For sure.
You have to understand the difference.
Okay, good. Let me get another call in before we sign off in a few minutes here. David, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Happy Father's Day to everybody.
Thank you.
Herman Johnson, there are some black scholars and historical scholars stated that, if we interested in reparation, that because of the new migration of African people coming from Africa, we have to distinguish ourselves from the title that actually, giving ourselves like where you all come from, like native black, because you all work so hard to actually, produce the land. How do you feel about that?
I didn't understand the question.
Ask it again. Be quick with it, David.
Oh, okay. How do you distinguish your culture title? Would you consider yourself like African American or Native Black?
Okay, I got your question. What you think about that, Herman?
I just always said African American, or black. I still know who I am. I'm still the same person. I don't spend a lot of time with that in my mind.
Okay.
Right. Oh, okay. Also, I want to say, some historical scholars said that if we, the Native Blacks or people, if we really, serious about reparation, we must actually separate ourselves from not separate, but the new migration of Africans that's coming from like Somali, Kender.
We familiar with that, David. We don't have much time, but I'll have you call back in next week. We can talk about that, David, okay?
Okay, thank you. Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Right. Much respect to you. So what happened, Herman, when we talk about this reparations conversation, there's been a lot of information about, like some African people that are coming over here now. Our ancestors and forefathers that were involved in the chattel slave trade, those are the people that should receive the reparations. That's a whole nother discussion. But let me ask you this here, Herman. Why is it that it's so much attention placed on a small town of 1,300 people? We got about 2 more minutes. That's all I have. So what's your answer there? Why do you think Mount Bayou is so important and significant in Black history?
Because of what it represents. And, again, I go back to Mount Bayou being a seed for a country. When Auntie Montgomery, who founded Mount Bayou, when he died in 1924, there was a white statesman here in Mississippi that actually gave his eulogy. And in his eulogy, what he was admonishing the Black people in Mount Bayou to do was to remember what Auntie Montgomery was working on when he passed away. Auntie Montgomery had been working with the U.S. president to buy the Congo from the Belgians because Montgomery wanted...
Wait, he was working in the Congo?
He was working to buy... He wanted the U.S. president to buy the Congo.
Wow.
His point was he wanted first-class citizenship and wanted us to live run our own country. So Mount Bayou was the seed for another country.
That's deep.
And if we look at it that way, in our own governance, in our own economy, and our own infrastructure, that's what Mount Bayou represents today.
All right, brother. And I want to thank you, Herman, for coming on the show. I plan to get you back on again so we can get an update sometime in July when you talk about everybody coming together, okay?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. I appreciate the invite. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. A lot of information shared. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Tio Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman coming to you live from WVON in the spirit of my man, the Span family, Melly Span Cooper, Pierre Cooper. I want to thank you for allowing me to host this show. I want to thank Shapira handling the technical boards for us this morning, and Terry Bishop sharing all this information on the Facebook universe. And then we also have everybody on the VON Facebook. I couldn't really sing too much today, Brother Herman, so I'm just going to stay focused on the conversation. But all power to the people. All power to the people. We're about to sign off. Peace and blessings to the entire world. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.